Alright everybody, hello and welcome as always. I am Sean. This is In The Mix. We're up to episode 20 of our #United series in Football Manager 2019. It has been a phenomenal series and season so far. We've overcome so much throughout the course of it. Injuries, suspensions, getting players poached by other clubs, but we've managed to keep a core of that #United group from last season together. We've added a couple of players here and there. We've done whatever else. I know we said in the last episode we were either going to come back for the game against Stowmarket or the game against Felixstowe and Walton. We've changed that up. We're going to play this game today against Clacton for one reason and one reason only, because if we win it, we will win the title for this season. Now, last year, I felt guilty because we won the title off screen, and it happened in between two episodes, that it was mathematically secured. So what I really want to do is try and capture that game and that title win in this episode today. And fingers crossed, it's the game against Clacton that we're about to play. We're going to call a team meeting now. We're going to assertively say we put ourselves in a position to win the title. Or actually, let's not say that. We've worked hard all season to put ourselves one way away from the title. Let's go out there, make it happen, and make the final jump to become champions. Oh God, everyone's responded horribly with that. You're putting too much pressure on us by building the title up so much. Let's just go out there and treat it like any other match. And I'm going to say assertively, wasn't expecting that sort of overall reaction. And at least that's brought everyone back a little bit. But God, that didn't go the way I expected it to. So you can see here, #United firm favourites for this clash. Clacton are currently in 13th position, I think it is. And we have a press conference because this will be enough for us to tie up the title for the season. Gives us confidence. We want to keep everyone going. Aaron will be delighted to stay clear of relegation, which is interesting. And I'm just going to go through this as quickly as possible. Business as usual, blah, 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 blah. They're talking about their manager a lot. I'm not sure why that's going on. But why wouldn't they talk about me and how I'm one win away from the title? That's very interesting. While we're here, before I forget, we're also going to have a look at Adebayo Akinfenwa, see if he finally wants to join for that trial so that we can bring him in on a part-time contract, or a non-contract even. Still no sign of him wanting to retire just yet, which is great. Alright, so Stowmarket dropped points and only drew their last game, which means mathematically they can't get past us regardless of what happens, which is absolutely crazy. So #United do the double. We do it in the laziest circumstances possible with other teams faltering. But we got back-to-back Eastern Counties League Cup titles. We have back-to-back Eastern Counties Division 1 South and Eastern Counties the League Premier Division titles, which is absolutely phenomenal. The pivotal match, they say, is our comeback win against Great Yarmouth, 1-6-3. Harry Honesty has been our key player with a 7.61 average rating. Spencer has set initial budgets for next season, 2.6k a week, which is fantastic. We're still on non-contracts, which is a bit... It doesn't really matter too much what our budget currently is, but at least we're not going into deficit. The supporters have loved me, but really we've just delivered on what we were expected to do throughout the course of this season. And they are very happy with our Eastern Counties Premier win, though that was the default expectation they had for us. And we'll go into the history books as having won it, following on from Coggles Hall and Wroxham. It does mean we go straight up into the Bostic South East Division 1, unless I'm incorrect, unless it's a different league we go into, but this is where I think we head. And there are some decent teams in this division. We know Horsham are a good side. VCD Athletic are a good team. We're going to travel to Guernsey, down to the island, if we get through into this division. Hayes and Yedding are a good side who've been up and down between the Bostic Premier and Conference South as well previously. And Hastings and Yardings have gone up as champions, so we won't really be playing them either. Anything could happen with the likes of Cray Wanderers, Carshalton or Tooting coming back down. But super excited and thrilled to have gone back to back. What I think we might do now, instead of playing this game against Clacton, is we might play the game against Stowmarket, see how much we eventually win the league by, or do we come back and do the game against Felixstowe? Let's come back and we'll do the game against Felixstowe and Walton, and then we'll do a bit of a season review. Alright, and just like that, we are a week ahead, or a few weeks ahead, I should say, sorry. We ended up drawing 1-1 with Clacton. We got an equaliser through Harry Honesty late on in that game. Pretty spiteful contest, to be honest. 6 yellow cards for us. And we made our subs according to those who had already gotten yellows. Then we played Stowmarket and actually lost this game. Again, a spiteful contest. Gio Craig scoring, I think, like his 30th goal of the season. In the 81st minute, it was enough for them to get beyond us. To be honest, I was kind of just trying to get through those games as quickly as possible, which brings us to Felixstowe and Walton today. They're 10th in the league. We maintain our 5-point advantage over Stowmarket in second. None of these positions are really going to change as the season concludes today, but at least we can show this game, go through it, and then review the rest of the season. It's also the day of the English FA Cup final. Arsenal is playing Chelsea, I think it was. We are going to go with the team that has gotten us so far through these competitions. Walker, of course, in goal. Humphrey at left back. Sarpong at right full back, who has been a fantastic pickup for us throughout this season. Evans and Singano will play in centre back together. Hersett and Pollock Lanka midfield with Shashura at the 10. Honesty, our star player for the season. I think he's leading our assist and scoring charts. Oh, no, not. Sorry. Tashane Richmond's leading our scoring charts, but leading our assist charts and our highest average rating. Charlie Morley will play on the right wing. Looking at the Felixstowe and Walton team, James Shaw in goal, Cross and Ainsley as their fullbacks, Bailey and Davis Coker as a central defensive partnership, Jenkinson and Ankle midfield behind Stevenson and Thomas, Harris on the left wing, Marchant on the right, Wynn up top. And there's nothing really to say other than passionately, fans have been fantastic for us all season. Let's go out there and give them the proper sending off, our final game, our last home game of the season as well. Alright, throw in here for Humphrey first. Highlight of the game. It's taken to the 30th minute mark to get it. Ball back to Pollock, to Hersett. Got numbers out here on the left if we work the triangles correctly. Hersett finds Humphrey now. He's got time to pick out a cross. Hangs one back stick towards Morley. It's knocked down. It's going to fall to Pollock at the top of the box. He gets his strike away and it was on target, or not on target. It had the right line on it, just too much height, and he blazes over. Alright, and the ref takes us into half-time. Still 0-0. Hasn't been the greatest game ever to watch. We've only had that one highlight that we saw. Assertively, keep playing the way you have been and the result will come. Just going to try and keep mentality high. We've got 3 yellow cards. We've got to keep an eye on to Pollock, Hersett and Charlie Morley, but we do have subs on the bench that we can bring on for each of those players. Give it 15 more minutes. We'll have a look at how everyone's doing in terms of match ratings and stuff, and then we'll start to make those changes. Charlie Morley to take a corner here towards Singano. It hits Wynn and nearly goes in for an own goal. James Shaw tidies that one up though. Long ball forward. Sarpong should tidy up. Brings it down nicely. Played over the top now. Tashane Richmond in space. Strikes from distance. What a goal that is. His 21st goal of the season. A long ball forward from Sarpong. The control is fantastic to bring it down. Let's check it out in 3 dimensions and see what that strike looked like. It looked like an absolute peach. So long ball forward here from Sarpong. Camera switches now, and he's got 3 men closing him down, so he strikes from distance, and that is right into the top bins. Keeper wasn't doing much about that one. A fantastic goal from Tashane Richmond. Now that we have gone a goal up, I am a bit more concerned about these yellow cards, so we might just quickly replace Charlie Morley with Ryan Adams, who's been fantastic. We might put Ricky Evans from central defence up into midfield for Lee Hersett, and we'll bring on Jamel Akeem, who has been fantastic throughout the course of the season whenever he's played. And I'm just going to hold off on the last one, just in case there's any injury or if Scott Pollock does anything silly. We have won a free kick here, but we're not going to see it. It was just showing us the pitch while we made our changes. Looks like Stowmarket are still drawing their game wherever that is. Shashua now with a free kick. It's a good strike, gets it on target, and it's his 7th goal of the season in off the post. James Shaw maybe could have pushed that one around the post, but instead he just pushes it into the side netting. Still a good, decent strike though. And yeah, Shaw with his right hand, pushes that one onto the base of the post and back in. So we go 2-0 up, which is absolutely fantastic. Another highlight here immediately. Cross to take a throw in. It's won back well by Evans. Sarpong wins it back and played to Shashua moving forward. He's got Ryan Adams in support if he can find him. Instead he coughs up the ball to Stevenson. It's a good press here. Ryan Adams has won the ball back. Richmond comes through now, gets the strike away. 22nd goal of the season for him. It was Ryan Adams that did all the work there, and Tashane Richmond was the beneficiary. He didn't have much of an angle to aim at. I think, again, it's hit Shaw on the way through, so not the greatest game for the Felixstowe keeper. Oh, it's a sliding challenge. It looked very violent. Richmond with the strike, beats the man at near post, and rockets that one into the back of the net. 22 goals, a fantastic return. He spent probably the first 10 games playing as our number 10 or a right winger before we started trying to integrate Shashua into the side a little bit more. And not forgetting that Richmond's missed, I think, about 10 weeks with injury throughout the course of the season. We should actually have a look at that after our injury table for the year. Shashua's been fouled by Shay Stevenson then, and he's picked up his 2nd yellow card. I think it's the first red card against us we've had in the entire season, and it comes right at the end in our last game. Harry Honesty hasn't had the greatest game. I might actually quick sub him and bring on Theo Baker. We'll let this highlight play out. It's a free kick from Thomas. Good save from Walker, and he recovers on the rebound as well. Because credit to Theo Baker, he never complains. He very rarely plays. If he does, it's usually off the bench, and he never gives me any grief. He's contributed with a couple of goals throughout the course of the season as well. The highlight continues. Walker with a long one forward. It's with Ainsley now in the Felixstowe midfield. We're pressing as a group of 3 pretty nicely, but they've just dropped off. Long ball over the top, tidied up by Singano. Singano now plays it out right to Sarpong. Into Shashua. Crossfield switch towards Harry Honesty. Can he get the strike away? He does, but it's a good save from James Shaw, and I dare say that'll be Harry Honesty's last action of the season itself. Theo Baker will come on from there. Another highlight here, Jenkinson to play ball forward to Cross. No one's really stepping up to him. He's got Marchant in the middle, uses him now. Comes across to the right-hand side, carries the ball a long way, and then strikes from distance. Probably wasn't really on, to be fair. Walker holds that one without any drama, but even if he hadn't got there, I'm pretty sure it was going wide. Davis Coker now with the ball on halfway. It's a long one forward. Humphrey heads it. Played out to Baker on the left wing now. He comes back inside to Shashua. Good crossfield switch towards Ryan Adams, who has space to attack if he can get there. Hangs the ball up towards Tashan Richmond, and it's a hat-trick for Tashan Richmond on the last day of the season. Wonderful assist there by Ryan Adams. 23rd goal of the season for the big man up top. Lovely crossfield switch there from Shashua as well. And Adams just hangs this one back stick. Richmond peels off the defender very well. All he has to do there is get... I think James Shaw has touched that again. I think we've scored 4 goals, and James Shaw has gotten a hand to every single one of them, but not been able to keep him out. All right, 3 minutes to be added on here. Is there going to be any late drama or any further goals before the season itself finishes up? But a comprehensive performance, 13 shots, 10 on target, 49% possession. And I think we're about to see the last highlight now. James Shaw with a goal kick forward. Should be tidied up without any drama by Humphrey. Brings the ball down very, very well. Played out wide now to Theo Baker. Back inside to Humphrey. Back to Jamel Akeem. To Theo Baker now. Into Shashua. And the ball ends with Armando Shashua, who's been fantastic for us all season. What a final result to close out what has been a phenomenal, phenomenal season for everybody here. Passionate, very happy with the result and the way you played. Just trying to boost everyone's morale. There's no need to get down on anybody. We've gotten ourselves promoted. We've won the division. We've won the League Cup. It's been absolutely fantastic as a season. Now, what I'm going to do is jump ahead a week because I think there's going to be some awards that are given out. And we can do a bit of a season review then. We can go over our best results, our best performances, and our individual stars throughout the course of the season. Magic of editing, though, we'll do that now. Alright, so just like that, we are a week ahead, and a lot of the post-season awards have been given out, which is what I wanted to see. Goal gut for Hashtag United in Eastern Counties Premier Demolition. What a fantastic way to finish the season. A 4-0 victory. 13 shots to their 5, 49 possession to their 51. Tashan Richmond with his 3 goals. A hat-trick to finish what has been a fantastic season for him. We go up as champions with 95 points. Eventually 8 points clear of Stowmarket in second. Long Melford and Norwich CBS are the 2 teams to go down. We get 2.5k, which is going to be great for our finances because they're not looking the healthiest. Arsenal eventually won the FA Cup, which was the other game on the last day of the season. Looking at the Hashtag United overall best 11, there's quite a few players that have been integrated into that. Harry Beasley comes in for Andy Cade Watts. Tom Williams retains his place, interestingly, at left back ahead of Humphrey. Singano and Harrison continue as the central defensive partnership there. Still no Marcus Stamp, which is crazy to me. I think he's been fantastic. Sarpong is inducted as right full back. Evans and Tashan Richmond, interestingly, are anchoring midfield together. No sign of Lee Hersett or Scott Pollock, who both played such a tremendous role in both of our promotions, which is crazy to see. Harry Honesty on the left wing, of course. Shashua comes in at the 10. Charlie Morley on the right. And Daniel Adji, interestingly, up top. Dan Brown still retains his place on the bench. Still working for us as a scout with Tom Williams, which is great to have him still around. On the bench, Andy Cade Watts, Jamel Akeem, Ross Gleed, Lee Hersett, Ryan Adams, Theo Baker, and Dan Brown. But yeah, real interesting one. Always a strange one to see. Our end of season awards, Harry Honesty obviously winning Fans Player of the Season. He was fantastic all year. 68% of the vote. Ross Gleed with the goal of the season against Haverhill Borough. Let's have a quick look at that one now. Alright, here's the ball with Hersett. It's spread out to Ross Gleed, who goes on a good little run here into that pocket of space and strikes from distance. Yeah, it's a good strike from a fair way out. There was one that Tom Humphrey scored that I thought was absolutely phenomenal. It was like a goal that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst scored for Holland in the 2010 World Cup, I think it was, where he was like, I know I always say that there's further distance than it was, but he would have been 30 yards out, and he smashed it into the top corner on the far side, which was awesome. But still, great goal from Ross Gleed. Not going to take anything away from him. Signing of the season, Armando Shashua. He's been fantastic. Young player of the season, Harry Honesty, still only 24, which is hard to believe. The fans team of the season, Beasley in goal, Humphrey and Sarpong as the fullbacks, Akeem and Singano, interestingly, at centre-back, no Marcus Stamp. Pollock and Hurst anchoring midfield, Shashura at the 10, Harry Honesty on the left, Charlie Morley on the right, and Tashane Richmond up top, which is very consistent with a lot of the teams we played. A memorable season for everyone at #United, tasting success in 2 competitions, which is absolutely fantastic. Squad dynamics are good. Harry Honesty, Lee Hurst and Tashane Richmond are all team leaders, which is great. You'd expect all 3 of them to play again next season. The board are pretty thrilled with how things are going. Major highlight is the control of the wage budget. We're on 2k a week, but we're only using non-contracts really at the moment until we can sign players on part-time deals again. Our club stature has been massive. Our club finances stuff has been massive. Things are going very well in the opening 2 seasons, and I always think it's important when you do lower league saves like this, get up in the first 2 seasons, particularly for YouTube, because if you don't, it gets real boring real quick. Like there are people out there that want to see us against the Manchester Cities, Manchester Uniteds, the big teams in London, playing in the Champions League, and I do want the series to eventually get to that point, but if we get bogged down in some of these lower divisions, it's going to be tough. Now we'll just flick through quickly some of these other things. Youth auditing has gone quickly. Marcus Stamp, interestingly, has begun the recovery phase of his ACL injury. Still a long road back for him, but good to see him moving forward. We've got a whole bunch of different players out of contract at the end of the season. They will move to non-contract. None of them will be going anywhere. But once that happens, I expect a lot more of these players to have wanted information over the top of their stats. One of the things that I do think you should expect to see is a lot of these guys that have low ability, pretty much from Daniel Agee down, will likely play under 23 football. Scott Pollock's probably the exception to that because his potential's so high, but they'll likely play under 23 football next season and then be brought back in and play games when they're required, as opposed to always being in the squad and always missing out. And we'll tighten this up to be like a squad of 18 with a couple more versatile youngsters that can play a variety of different roles. But the majority of this group should stay together next season just to see how they get on in the higher division. And we've still got a lot of players that are going to be in their prime. The likes of Harry Honesty, Lee Hurst, Scott Pollock, who we've already spoken about at length, Charlie Morley, Farai Singano. Like, these are guys that will continue playing and continue doing well over the next few days, weeks and months. Looking at our shortlist, and we'll go through this again at the start of next season. Devastating news, Adebayo Akinfenwa has retired and he wants to be a manager, so he's not currently willing to come across, which is disappointing, but we'll add him to the staff shortlist with all the other guys that are currently on there. We'll try and get him across as well, but bummer that we didn't get to have him actually playing for us. A lot of these guys, their contracts expire at the end of this month. The likes of Andy Cade-Watts, Matt Carter, love to bring them in. And some of these other juniors that are going to get released from teams around London, we'll have a look at them as well. We'll offer them trials first to come and have a look and see if they are actually the 5-star ability players they're currently listed as. And if they're not, the likelihood is we'll let them go and other teams can sign them. Alright, looking at the stats for the season, we had the most goals of any team with 85. The fewest conceded with 28. The salary per annum, we spent $34,000, which is the most of any team in the division. We had the 3rd highest average possession, which for me is insane. We're still playing that counter-attacking style, which I think is going to be even more important as we get higher and higher in the divisions and play against better and better sides. 2nd most fouls, which isn't one to be proud of. 3rd most tackles won. Most indirect free kicks scored. 2nd most penalties taken. Most clean sheets as well with 20. If we look at some of the player stats here, Harry Honesty, most assists in the division with 16. Most clean sheets, Harry Beasley. Least conceded, we had 3 players equal there. Tashane Richmond finished equal 8th with 18 goals scored in 33 appearances. Harry Honesty had the 2nd highest average rating. Graham Montgomery, who was so fantastic for Stowmarket throughout the course of the season, had the most. He also had the most player of the match awards. Harry Honesty 3rd with 8. Lee Hurst scored 6 of the 8 penalties that he took this season. Farai Singano played pretty much every minute of every game for us, as did Lee Hurst and Scott Pollock. So 85 goals for him while he was there. 30 games won while Singano was in the side. If we look a little bit further at detail here, I think what hurt Harry Honesty in the end is that he also played with Tashane Richmond and Charlie Morley, who got Player of the Match awards as well. If you look at Stowmarket, who finished in 2nd and were very good, Graham Montgomery won 10 awards, and there's not anybody else in the top 20 or so players that also got Player of the Match awards, which is really interesting to see. Armando Shashua in the top 12 for distance covered per game, which is fantastic for a guy who's only 18 years old. Tashane Richmond, 6th highest in average rating. Charlie Morley, 12th highest. Farai Singano, 15th. Key passes here, Scott Pollock, 11th in the league with 42, which is again fantastic for a player so young. Pass completion, Lee Hersett 12th in the division with 84% of his passes completed. Very impressive for a central midfield player. Harry Honesty 3rd in the league for dribbles per game. Lee Hersett 4th in the division again for tackles per game. Scott Pollock down in 12th. Conceded, of course, Harry Beasley with the fewest in the division, also with the most clean sheets. Didn't have to make as many saves as some of the other keepers playing for other teams, but a really, really good performance from quite a few different individuals that we've seen there. Just have a quick look at our injury history here for this season, which is absolutely insane. The only two that are still out are Marcus Stamp and Daniel Adjie. But if we sort by here, Ryan Adams was out for a total of about 3 months, which is insane, with a variety of different injuries. Theo Baker was out for probably about 5-6 weeks or something like that, with a couple of different knocks. Aaron Couch out for a little bit. Tom Humphrey was out for just over 3 weeks. Harry Honesty, of course, missed 2 weeks with injury. Lee Hersett missed 3 weeks. Charlie Morley just a couple of days here and there, which is alright. Scott Pollock 3 weeks. Tashan Richmond 5 weeks. Armando Shashua 3 months. Tekers Guru a couple of days. Farai Singano a couple of days. Harvey White a couple of days. But that's absolutely crazy. Most days missed in the last 12 months. Marcus Stamp, Daniel Adjie and Ryan Adams all over 91 days. Armando Shashua 88. So a lot more injuries this season than we've seen previously. And when you kind of look at it broken up like that, it is pretty rough to look at. Hopefully Marcus Stamp and Daniel Adjie will both be back in time for the start of the next season, where we will be heading up into the Bostic South East Division 1. If we look at the Premier Division, any of the teams relegated likely to drop down into that one as well. It's Cheshire, Carshalton and Hartley Whitney, which will be dropping down. I think it means we'll play Carshalton at least, who have previously won the Bostic South East Division 1. Cleethorpes are a decent side. They're obviously involved in playoffs and stuff at the moment. Hastings United eventually went up. Hazen Yetting, Whiteleaf, Newcastle and Ashford. Only one of those teams will move for the further forward in the playoffs. Ramsgate and Haywards Heath go down, but there's some decent teams around here. We're going to be making the trip to VCD Athletic and out to Guernsey. We're going to have to charter a boat or something like that to get there for that game. But a lot of exciting stuff that will be happening in Season 3 of this series. Now, I hope you guys have enjoyed Season 2 of our Hashtag United series. I've obviously loved it. Thank you to everyone that subscribed to the channel or given feedback in the comment section below or followed us on Twitter or anything like that. Without you guys and giving your feedback, I wouldn't know what I was doing with the channel. So sincerely, I really do appreciate it a lot. Thank you again, of course, to all of our key collaborators who you can find in the descriptions below. Please go and give them your support. Go and give Hashtag United your support. This wouldn't be happening without them either. As always though, I've been Sean. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to chuck a like on this video to celebrate our back-to-back league championships, league cup victories and promotions. I'll see you guys again in the mixer, and don't ever forget to hashtag it.